This video is proudly sponsored by Erwin Centre Travel World, based at Stafford just off junction 14 of the M6. And they're dealers not just for Niesmann & Bischoff, but also Heimer, Leica, Detlefs and Corrado. Hello, I'm Peter Vaughan, and on this cold and slightly snowy day, well, we had a lot more snow when I picked the van up, and hence the fact that it is a little bit grubby. What is it? It's the new Niesmann Arto, the first time Arto has been based on a Mercedes chassis. Now, my history with Arto goes back some time because we had a long-term test of an Arto over 20 years ago, and I went all over France and everywhere in that lovely van. But things have moved on a lot. The Arto got a completely new look in 2014 with this sort of Niesmann visage, which still carries on and still looks modern to this day. But in 2025, Arto changed again. Niesmann had gone through a process of invigorating the whole range. So you've got the smooth at the bottom on the Fiat Ducato chassis. Then the new Arto launched, as I say, last year, 2025, and it became our luxury motorhome of the year for 2025. And then if you want something even bigger, there's the Iveco daily based Flare with rear wheel drive at the top of the range. Of course, this on the Sprinter with an Alco chassis is front wheel drive. Where am I? Well, I'm at Love to Stay, which is just outside Shrewsbury, and we've got premium pitches with their own water and so on. We've got cabins here, even outdoor swimming and a gym. Now, I probably ought to take advantage of the latter because my son described me as festively plump after Christmas, but sadly, or fortunately, I've got too much to do filming this van. Now, Niesmann has over 40 years experience building premium motorhomes like this, but this isn't a particularly big motorhome. This is actually the baby of the Arto range, the Arto 78 at 7.82 metres long. There's also an Arto 84 at 8.45 metres long, and the Arto 88 at 9.07 metres long. The two bigger ones have a tag axle. This is the only Arto with a single rear axle, but it's still on a 4.5 tonne chassis. The other dimensions, well, it's quite a wide van, 2.4 metres wide, and quite tall too, 3.03 metres high. Price, well, if you look at the base price, which includes a higher standard spec than in the home market in Germany, a higher spec for the UK, it starts at £162,100, which doesn't sound too bad, does it, these days? But this being a premium German motorhome, well, this one isn't £162,000. It has a lot of options on it. So this one is £232,069. That's a lot of money. So let's talk about some of the spec. Well, this Eiffel grey paint finish is one of the more expensive options at £10,399. And then this carbon finish for some of the graphics, well, there's over £2,300 there. And having matte black trim where it would normally be chrome, well, that's over £1,000 as well. The good news is that the alloy wheels, the 170 horsepower engine and the 9-speed automatic gearbox all come as standard in the UK. Now, two of the most expensive options on this particular vehicle are the full air suspension front and rear, and you can see now that I've lowered it down as low as it goes. That's because I'm then going to demonstrate the levelling system with hydraulic jacks, the Alco HY4 system, which will get the vehicle completely level on site. The air suspension system is £10,832, but it does enable you to raise the vehicle up, going perhaps over a rough ground or unloading and unloading from a ferry. It gives you a sport mode. Not sure that you really need that, but you have a sport mode, and it even gives you a facility to weigh the vehicle. And then the levelling jacks, well, we'll put those down in a second, but first of all we had to have the suspension fully lowered, and those are £7,710. With the air suspension you can even tip the van to one side for emptying your grey tank, or have a nighttime setting with the head of your bed slightly higher. But as you can see, we've now got all four corners of the van level. So let's take you around the outside. The headlights and the fog lights are LEDs as standard. You've got your camera system here for all your modern safety systems. Open the bonnet and, well, it's the usual A-class thing. You've got easy access to your AdBlue and your windscreen washer reservoir, but everything else is somewhat buried. And if you're wondering about the cost of that Eiffel grey paint, well, it's explained by the fact that things like the mirror caps and the awning have to be sent away to be painted separately. The GRP parts actually have to be stored for 4 weeks before they can be painted, and all the paint has UV protection so it doesn't yellow or discolour over time. I really like it, and it does make a nice change from a big white box, and it doesn't show the dirt, a lot of dirt, as much as a white one would. So let's have a look down the near side, and all the hatches are neatly integrated. They effectively form the skirts all the way along, and they're all centrally locked with a switch just inside the Habitation door. Now this first one, well, that just gives you a little bit of storage. Second one here, notice how they all just neatly rise up on their gas struts, where you've got access there to all your water systems, but you don't have to fiddle around in there to drain your grey tank, because that is emptied from a switch on the dashboard. Then you've got access here to the optional gas tank. That's a 50-litre gas tank. If you don't have that, well, you've got a large gas compartment here. That would, I'm sure, easily take 2 13-kilo cylinders. And then, of course, there's the garage. This vehicle has a conventional cassette toilet with the SOG vent system as standard. You can upgrade to a fixed black tank loo with 170-litre capacity. And water tanks are also equally generous. Grey tank is 200 litres and your freshwater tank 300 litres. As I come to the back of the van, I think we ought to talk about some of the construction. And the Alco chassis is the new Vario Space chassis, so it's 100 millimetres deeper for the heated double floor than in the previous Fiat-based Arto. Body construction, well, it's two-sided aluminium sandwich with an RTM styrofoam insulation between, and then this moulded glass fibre back panel, GRP back panel, well, that's insulated, and then there's the double-sided aluminium insulated panel behind that. Time then to have a look at the garage. So the garage with these big top opening doors on either side. Maximum weight in here is 300 kilos. Width at floor level is 1.12 metres and headroom is 1.25 metres. Got little bits of extra storage. Got a bit in there, some shelving, main socket, and of course your external shower. You have your lashing points top and bottom. And this rather fancy bag with the Niesmann logo, well, that contains things like your fridge vent covers and, unfortunately, a get your home kit rather than a spare wheel. But you do get a nice bag, presumably to keep your handbooks in. The garage doors are linked to the Mercedes remote central locking. Got your external gas barbecue point there, and then this is a feature I really like. Another option, but you've got these slide out storage boxes and more of them. More of them in this compartment here. Maximum 80 kilos, but isn't that useful storage rather than having things sliding around in that deep double floor? And another clever touch is that when you've got these open, you can't damage the paintwork on the door because it senses that is open, it knows that's open, and it won't come round and crash into the skirt door and do any damage. See, Niesmann really do think about these things. I won't give you the prices of all the options because then this video would be, well, 2 hours long probably. But those storage boxes are £729 and £777 respectively. You'll notice that the only door into the vehicle is on the offside, the Habitation door. There are no cab doors in this A-Class, typical for a liner style motorhome up there with Concords and Morellos and so on. The electric awning, that's £2,316. Your Habitation door doesn't have a window, it has little coat hooks on the inside and a storage pocket, a nice big grab handle. And then inside, well, you've got the Niesmann logo in the stepwell again, and then these touch switches for the electric awning, for the awning light, and for the electric step. If you forget, there's also a switch for the electric step in the cab. And that's all we've got time for today because, well, it's getting dark, I'm getting tired and cold. I'll see you again tomorrow. Day 2 of this road test, and I'm itching to show you just how really special this Arto is inside. But before I do, just a couple of items of spec to mention. As standard, the vehicle comes with a 150 amp hour lithium battery, but this vehicle has the LEP lithium energy pack priced at £8,595. That upgrades the batteries to two 150 amp hour lithium batteries. It gives you an inverter and 220 watts of solar on the roof. You can upgrade further to 450 amps of lithium and 330 watts of solar. However, just be a bit careful with ticking all those options box because not only do they increase the price, but also they reduce your payload. A standard Arto like this has a payload of 993 kilos, but this one, fully loaded with so many options, the payload is down to 436 kilos. So you will have to be a bit careful how much water you carry while you drive and what you put in the garage. So, what's it like to live in an Arto 78? Well, it's very, very nice. These cab seats spin round quite easily and rise up because the cab floor is lower. You've got this small step and you can choose the colour of the lighting that highlights that step and is also along on the side of the cabinet there. Just one of the personalisation features in this motorhome, and there are plenty of those. The microfiber headlining, well, that can be in this anthracite or a light grey. There are 7 choices for the base cushions in the lounge, including some of those being leather, and then 12 choices for these softer pillow-like backrests. Whatever you have, you get these acoustic felt-lined walls for better sound inside the vehicle, less echoiness, I suppose. And then there's two choices for the furniture as well, light oak or dark walnut. Some motorhomes that we review get described a little unfairly as grandma's parlour or a country cottage on wheels. Not so here. This is more your designer apartment in Docklands, but back on wheels again. It's very, very comfortable, whether you sit in these lovely SKA captain's chairs or on the side-facing sofas with these squishy backrests. But one thing I really like is the lighting. You can get it to just the mood that you want. You've got these ambient lights in the ceiling, down lights above the cab and the lounge area. And then a feature I really like is these little side wall lights, which are just the sort of thing you'd get in that posh apartment or a boutique hotel. It really is, I can't keep saying it enough, a lovely place to relax. I think this is my favourite spot back in the corner here, unless I want to watch TV, in which case I'll go back into the captain's chairs to enjoy this 32-inch screen. Now that is part of the multimedia pack, £2,151, but that includes 4 high-end speakers, the subwoofer and the aerial as well. The table slides on these rails across the floor. It's easiest to do with your foot, to slide it backwards and forwards. Table twists as well, and for dining, if there's more than 2 of you or you're having a bit of a banquet, then it unfolds to a generous size. But folded, you can slide it right to one side and it's simply not in the way. Up above the TV, in this cupboard, you've got your controls for the Audi heating. Now that works from gas or mains electric, and you've got separate heating controls for the bedroom and the living area. Also in here, you've got the controls for your inverter. But this lounge also has a rather neat trick up its sleeve. It's a catch to release down here, and then the base of the settee swings round. Move the backrest cushions. This one slides out and there's an extra piece slots in there, and then the headrests go in as well. And then you've got a comfortable, proper 2-seater rear passenger seat. Plenty of comfort, plenty of good visibility. You've got to travel in the back of the motorhome. This is the one to do it in. This video is proudly sponsored by Erwin Centre Travel World, based at Stafford, just off junction 14 of the M6. And they're dealers not just for Niesmann and Bischoff, but also Heimer, Leica, Detlefs and Corrado.